old man.
What's going down?
Nah, I ain't doing nothing, man. How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
That's what I wanted to hear, man.
Sitting here, sipping White Claw and talking about bull mess, which is pretty much what I do. So I figured I'd record it.
It's Sunday. I might as well be recording what I get up to while I'm drinking my White Claw and talking about that bullshit.
I love it so.
I love it so.
It feels so darn good.
I'm gonna keep on buying her thing. It feels so darn good. I love that line so much. I don't know why it's so. I guess it's because who's saying it, but it's just if you need further proof.
It ain't custom on your wedding day.
God, anything you write on a piece of paper, if you want Billy Bob Thornton to make it funny, he can do it. I swear to God, it's like there's just nothing to it, and it's hilarious. Every line's hilarious. We talk about all the time, man. The Jarmusch dead man. How you get it to look all soft, lay down like that? I mean, this hair, it's just old barn hay. Absolutely love him describing his hair as barn hay.
Yeah. It's a type of thing that isn't that common, but everybody can picture for some reason.
Yeah, for real. It's shit. Dead Man's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's really quite good. That scene is very interesting because it's absolutely horrifying what's actually going on, but it's hilarious until you stop to think about what's actually going on. And the other thing is the soundtrack to that movie I love because it's just Neil Young playing the guitar, so it's just really I love it. I need to listen to that tonight, man. Shoot, I hadn't thought about it till right now, but I've been stuck on the Saturday Night Live Trees song. I need to listen to something else. I told Jared, I will tell you guys now that I woke up, I think it was yesterday, man, just for no reason. First thing on my mind, man, couldn't stop thinking about it, couldn't stop laughing about it, was, goddamn, Trees take a long time. So I had to watch that stupid clip because Chris Redd, isn't it? That's that guy's name. I'm pretty sure. I hate that I just am horrible about my SNL cast members. But yeah, man, just his little spiel about, planting your tree and watering it and then watering it some more, then go to sleep, wake up, water it again. Damn, trees take a long time. That shit just cracks me up, man. Excuse me.
When it comes to the SNL cast this year, one of the things that always gets me so tripped up is they've got this girl on there that what the heck's her name? Of course, now I don't see her listed on there. I want to say her name's Lauren Holt because I'm looking at the NBC Universal website and they have the name listed and it is a blank. Where the headshot would be is blank. Problem is, she looks just like Adie Bryant.
Oh, crap.
Me. And 80's there. I can see her. But whoever, I wish I could say go here and you'll see, but you can't.
But you can't go here and see. It's Adie Bryant's Tony Clifton. She's two cast members this year.
She's right next to the blank picture of Punky Jones. And I know it's not Punky Jones because she's black. This girl's white and looks like Adie Bryant. So I at least know that.
For real.
I feel like I know something.
I am educated, sir.
But I get people crossed up all the time when it comes to that shit. But
I'm terrible about it.
Trees take a long time. That's what I'm trying to say.
Trees take a long time is just it. I hate to admit to you, man, the ones that I always mess up on are Kyle Mooney and Beck Bennett, and I don't know why, because each of those guys is hilarious in totally different ways. And I'm like, why do I mess this up? I love Beck Bennett, man. Oh my God, help me out now. Tell me if I'm wrong. Beck Bennett's the one that gets fired
office
for
toilet.
Exactly, gets fired for crapping in his office supplies. It's like, I know that's who that is. That guy's the best.
Beck Bennett to me looks like every 80s teen comedy bad guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
The preppy, rich, affluent heel that runs the yachting team.
That runs the ski resort.
Yeah. And, but still funny as hell.
I love it.
Same time.
Thanks, Andrew Cooper off his potty. I did good.
I don't think so.
They got so much mileage out of I Did Good between that and the boyfriend robot thing. They got two great jokes out of I Did Good, but yeah.
Yeah.
These laps? I don't think so. Voiceover lady said I'd have so much more time for business. What are you even working on? I don't know. I've been too busy going to the bathroom. The whole thing is so stupid, but I absolutely love it.
Yep.
Do your business. What do you mean? Use it as a toilet. Oh, now I get it. For some reason, that exchange is so great. Use it as a toilet. Oh, now I get it.
Makes perfect sense.
Dude, I gotta watch that one again now. I'm gonna watch Trees again, and then I'm gonna go watch Undercover Office Toilet, and then I'll probably watch Career Day.
Oh God.
It's been a minute since I've watched Career Day.
That's one of those kind of one of those sketches that you know, I think it could end friendships. If you don't think this is funny, I don't think you are.
If you can make it,
we're not going to be cool.
If you can make it through the verse, like it's your father, boy. Then I don't know about how much we could possibly have in common.
Yeah. Man, it's one of the big things that went down this week. That it's at the annual tradition of people getting fired from the WWE. It's become like Christmas.
Vince McMahon, fire and ashes.
It's to me not that different from last year, and that when you see most of the people on the list, you're kind of like, yeah, I could see that one. To me, the most there's the most glaring is I don't know how much Samoa Joe was being released or him being asked to be released. I could see him saying like, as much as I like him on commentary, I think he's awesome at it. I think he was just like, especially sitting there in a poncho in Tampa, like, I could just see him be like, this isn't what I want to do. And if you aren't going to let me do what I want to do, then let me go.
I have heard that Joe and Mickey, that was both of them, is like, I want to wrestle. So it's one of those things where you will not get me on the next contract. So, all right, but that's cool. Yeah. I'm with Joe was the biggest one. I interrupted you though, but yeah, I'm glad.
No, that's it.
There's really my other people on the list that I have very specific. Two of them I have. Well, I shouldn't say specific.
My thing was the one that I came across that I was like, yeah, I could see them letting her go, was Billie Kay. But then when I got further down the list and saw you let both of the Iconics go, I'm like, how fucking stupid are you?
I thought that was really dumb.
Stupid.
I thought that was very stupid as well, in the sense that, sure, they like having Peyton around to look at. And, WWE is supposed to be the entertainment company. And, we like people that can talk. And we like people with screen chemistry and presence and la-di-da. And y'all released Billie fucking Kay?
Yeah.
All right, then. Because y'all been trying to convince me Alexa Bliss is a goddamn Oscar nominee. Billie Kay is a fucking genius. But I'm very much with you. You let both of them go?
You're dumb.
You're absolutely stupid. Johnny Laurinaitis is a fucking idiot, and I realize that now you guys have to pay Pat McAfee and you have to pay Bad Bunny, but goddamn, you should have found them nickels and dimes somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's a huge mistake. See, to me, Peyton makes more sense because
she's connected to.
Yeah, her husband's in AEW, but letting both of them go, which I love because they never let that tag team be anything that they could have been. And here's my thing: if you actually want to launch an AEW women's tag division that's worth the shit, bam, there you go. But if you don't, then go to Impact, because Impact already has a women's tag division. That will be great, and then you still got crossover. That's the whole thing about people signing with Impact or New Japan or AEW. You do realize There's WWE, there's Ring of Honor, and then there's everyone else because they're already all working together. And hopefully, I'm hoping that eventually Ring of Honor will get in that too. But we'll have to see. I don't know if they will or not. I know that there's some. I still think there's some tension between Ring of Honor and New Japan from the last time they worked together because that I've said it before and I'll stand by it. That Enzo and Cass bullshit they did not clear with New Japan, and that was a match for their tag team titles. So they're like, "What the fuck is this?
Yeah,
We're in business together, Dick." And it's like, I hope that can be moved past because
I think it if it hasn't been done, at least it's starting to be.
I'm hoping so, and I know that AEW and Ring of Honor have huge issues. I'm hoping they can bridge that gap too, because Ring of Honor, a return engagement for Ring of Honor is not a bad thing for Joe to do. That shit would be really. Joe can go anywhere. It really doesn't matter. But him going back to Ring of Honor would be fucking sick. That would be really, really, really cool. So I'm good with whatever Joe wants to do. I am glad. I'm with you. The more research I do on it, it really seems like that was the only thing. Was that WWE is just going to do that thing where they just string you along and won't ever say it's okay for you to come back. And Joe's like, man, I can get cleared right now, man. I'm gone. Lots of Joe to AEW rumors. It's fine. I really would. Ring of Honor would be more fun, but he's got connections at Impact too. Wherever Joe wants to go is cool. My AEW people, excuse me, are the following: the Iconics, definitely, especially like I said, if you want to do a tag division. But the biggest person that I think AEW should absolutely fucking lock on and push the Brinks truck off the cliff is fucking Mickie James. If you got her in your women's division that everyone shits on and everyone talks crap about because they're all fucking kids and have not been in the business, you get that veteran to come in and be your galvanizing educator in the women's ranks. Mickie James is somebody that everybody in that locker room can learn from, but especially the women's locker room. But my main thing is this. The first thing that occurred to me is this. Well, WWE's got the Performance Center and they create their own talent. They don't get everybody from the indies, which is bullshit. Have y'all not ever seen where do they think people come to the Performance Center from? They don't just go sign people. They did with Alexa Bliss, but that's the point. They like that kind of stuff. They can do the fitness model cheerleader thing. There's always going to be people like that. But who are the biggest names in NXT history? Finn Balor? Yeah, he had a little bit of fucking experience before he got there. Samoa Joe? Yeah, him too. Nakamura? Yep. Tommy End? Yep. All these people. It's not like the Performance Center produced them. That's not how it works. Everybody goes to the indies and brings people up. But as far as having a school where you train your talent and la-di-da and woo-hoo, man, if you are telling me that you've got Christian Cage coaching the boys and Mickie James coaching the girls, I say you got a hell of a future. Yeah. That's what I would do. I would literally beg her to come to AEW and offer her as much money as she wants. And I understand that her husband is the NWA World Champ. So there's an avenue there. So the idea of her going to the NWA, that makes sense too. But we all know the NWA and AEW are working together. So that of all, even including Joe, and I love Joe, but if I'm AEW, Mickie James is my top priority. She just absolutely is because, the roster's so bloated. They've just got so many people now. Not on the women's side, they don't. And especially not people that are veterans that have that much good work under the belt, that much genius above the ear. And that's what I would do. I would just, I was really actually quite happy to hear that for the same reason I was happy to hear Joe because they want to go. Vince don't want to let them go, so go somewhere else. This is great. This is all good stuff, man.
And that's like what you're saying with Peyton Royce and who she's connected to. I thought that was this kind of same. That's why, to me, Chelsea Green wasn't a surprise, just because it's not that she's done anything broken any of the third-party rules, but she's been I think she's even been on some of the promotions that Matt Cardona has done with his podcast. I'm sure that probably had some strikes against her that they won't come out and admit, but I'm sure that did not help her.
It lets you know real quick that they at least understand what Adam Cole is. Because Adam Cole is backstage at Daly's place all the time. Adam Cole is on videos that show up on Being the Elite all the time. But nobody in Stanford has a problem with it. And I get it because Adam Cole's elite, baby. So I get it. I think that's cool. And also, you and I've said this for a long time, and I will stand by it. People scoff at it and think it's ridiculous and har. And, well, they had Jericho on the Stone Cold show, but they talked about AEW. That just tells you Vince isn't worried about AEW. Why? Vince was never worried about AEW. Are you just now figuring that out? No, what it tells you is that the possibility, leaving a crack in the door, not Vince. I know Vince will never do it because exclusivity is all he cares about. It's the same thing you and I were talking about with The Rock show, which I'll transition to in a moment. Actually, I'll talk about it right now, and then I'll get it back to this, I promise. The Rock is running the XFL as not competition for the NFL. He wants to compete against college football, and he wants to put college football out of business, and I hope he does. Because the NCAA is fat and bloated and greedy as shit, and they don't maybe a licensing deal, maybe, which the only fucking reason y'all want to do that is so you can then make video games and make more money on top of these kids' heads, as opposed to the XFL, which is going to be the NFL's minor league system that the NFL doesn't pay a dime for. So guess what that means? That means the door is open for you to schmooze and hobnob with NBC, which is exactly what we were talking about with Rock and his TV show. It's at NBC for a reason. The A&E biographies of professional wrestlers. Rock's on those for a reason. A&E is under the Universal umbrella. The man knows what he's doing. And the first great decision he made was, instead of Vince's, the NFL's gotten so soft and it was played by manly men when I was a kid, so we're going to have the XFL and people are going to be tough and they're going to chop their fingers off and they're going to play with their dicks out.
I'm going to take over another territory.
Dude, seriously, Rock's number one thing is like, the NFL's the NFL, you're never touching them. But what if you helped them out? That's the angle that he's playing, and it's why I think it's going to work, and it's going to be an ungodly success. I really do think that he will make it a crazy success. I've gotten sidetracked. But that being the case, that he's smart enough to look at it and say, you can't beat the NFL, so work with them. WWE is the NFL as far as pro wrestling is concerned, but going forward, the big world, that's that first W in WWW, first W in all these words we're talking about. It's a big planet. There's a lot of eyeballs. If you can get Adam Cole beating Okada, that's good for you. And Triple H understands that. Vince doesn't. He'll never get it. Stephanie will never admit it, I don't believe. And Shane doesn't give a shit anyway. But Trips gets it. You tell Triple H he can cross-promote with NXT, Ring of Honor, AEW. He would be doing that shit right now. Because he's smart. He's smart, because the entire point is, well, why would WWE share when they could just get all of it? Yeah, but you can't. You can't. Because you can't go to the Tokyo Dome and headline a show that's going to bring in as many people as Wrestle Kingdom. But what you can do is negotiate for half the gate of Wrestle Kingdom. Because you are still WWE. You're huge. You can go in and take the lion's share, as opposed to, well, we want all of it or nothing. Well, that's fucking stupid. Because 50% of this ungodly gate is better than 0%, which is what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? I really do think that it's not going to happen.
Do you want to run house shows that are a quarter full, or run a big show and get half of the gate?
It's absolutely. I understand. Vince's number one thing is me, and only me. Business don't work like that anymore. It just doesn't. It just does not. So you can continue to sputter for your time being, and then once you finally lose interest and ride off into the sunset, hopefully Trips is the one that takes over, and we'll see some shit, man. It's going to be, because the thing is, WWE should be making that move right now. And the reason I say right now is because it's the same thing with, oh man, CM Punk's coming back. Did you see him and Samoa Joe talking? CM Punk's going to come back. He's going to come back. He better giddy up. Because I'm going to tell you something. As soon as New Japan and AEW cross the fuck over, no one's going to give a fuck what anyone else is doing. Unless WWE does it too. Get in there, man. Get you some. Hopefully
get me while I'm good, brother.
Dude, hopefully all this stuff will work out. I really hope it does. But you talk about WWE getting rid of their exclusivity. People think you've grown two heads. I'm like, wait and see. I'm telling you, it would not surprise me a bit, not one bit. Especially Trips has already talked about being open to doing business with other companies. It's like, y'all, he's not fucking kidding.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He's a smart guy, man.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Nonetheless, that's the one of virtually every name on the list that gets released. Every one of them kind of like, yeah, if you're not going to do anything with them, let them go.
That's always been my thing too. It's the reason that I get frustrated with people comparing it to last year. Oh my God, they did it on the same date. Oh, that's so crass. Oh, they've got no clap. It's a fucking business. Vince doesn't give a fuck about shit like that. Here's the thing that's better about this year than last year. Last year when they did it, there was nowhere to go. Independent shows weren't doing anything, and nobody was sure if AEW was going to keep running. Nobody was sure. You've got options now, and that's cool. I mean, it sucks, but like you said, that roster is huge. People bitch about AEW's roster being bloated. I'm like, God damn, if that one's bloated, what the fuck is your word for Stanford? It's like, no. There's way too many people in way too few places. But now at least there are more places they can go. So I'm with you. And also, I love the crop of people that got released because, again, Joe is an excellent commentator. But if the man is cleared to wrestle and he wants to wrestle, you are wasting everybody's time if you don't have him wrestling because he is better than pretty much everybody. He's as good as anybody doing it and better than most. Samoa Joe is fucking incredible, so I'm glad he'll be back. But again, I'll stick by it. Mickey's my number one. If I'm AEW and I can sign one person, that's who it would be. Oh my God, she would be short term. She would be valuable for him. But man, if you are smart enough to realize that, oh my God, we just hired Christian Cage and Mickie James to be our instructors at our academy. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty good. Dean Malenko works for that fucking company too, so it's like, y'all.
Yeah, they're looking stacked.
They know what they're doing as far as developmental and bringing people on. Well, what about Bill DeMott? Fuck Bill DeMott. People only remember him because he was on a TV show and he made a jackass of himself. And no one ever talks about what good training they got from Bill DeMott. You never hear that shit. Let Christian Cage train you up. I guarantee you that shit will be incredible. Love it, man. That's a really good idea. I hope that's what the point of it is. As far as, I mean, I like Christian anyway. I think something I would love is I get its Impact, but when he was Impact champion, it's when they still had that NWA title. So Nick Aldis versus Christian Cage is something I'm really hoping they will do. That would be absolutely amazing. I'm hoping that make that happen. And it sucks because I'll never see it. It's the same thing with Kenny and Rich Swann, which I'm so excited about, but I don't mean to be a dick. It's just that's a big price tag, and I'm just not feeling it. I hate to be that way, but it's true. I had to buy my T-shirt.
I can't buy a show for just one match that I want to see.
Not for what that cost, man. You know, I'd give you $30 for it. I would, but it's like I can't do it, man. But it's cool. I'm glad they're doing it, and I think Omega versus Rich Swann will be fucking amazing because both those guys are. Rich Swann I've never seen Rich Swann in any match that was less than. Good God, did you see that? He was awesome. I love that guy. So anyhow, and it'll be the same thing with Cage versus Aldis, but I shouldn't say Cage because there's Brian Cage and it's confusing. Christian versus Aldis, I think would be crazy, crazy, sick, awesome. Because Nick Aldis is a bad sucker. Every match I've seen of his, man, that guy's real good, man.
I mean, the post WrestleMania Exodus has been par for the course for many, many years. So I just don't understand the. It's crass, but
It's because people lost their shit about it.
it's been this way for many years now.
It has, but it's because people all lost their shit about it last year because last year it was particularly fucking foul. It was
Yeah.
just trash. And the other thing is same thing with, well, it's cost cutting. John Laurinaitis told us it was cost cut. We got a cost cut. We got to cut costs. We got to belt and tighten. Then why the fuck do I hear about record profits every other goddamn minute?
Mm-hmm.
Shut the fuck up about your goddamn bottom line if you're going to come out and say, well, we can't afford the talent. Fuck you, man. Just don't tell anybody. Shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
just lie. Every other corporation fucking does it. Just lie. It's not a problem.
Works great.
Yeah, but I'm with you. It doesn't. This year doesn't bother me nearly as much as last year because last year was just horse shit. Because they literally WWE made crazy fucking money last year, and they cut people because they're fucking assholes. But this year you got other places to go, so it's not. It's totally okay. And part of it, like I said, jerkily. These are people I want to see do shit. The second they broke up the Iconics, I couldn't wait for them to release either or both of them because them together is the shit. And it's the whole point about, well, they're really not that good in ring. I'm sorry, man. Like I said, WWE's the entertainment company. All you fuckers want is people that can cut promos. I can prove it because you all talk about how much you love Jon Moxley. His matches goddamn suck. But you loved him because he talked. Well, guess what Billy and Peyton can do? And that's my point about if you make them the foundation of your tag division, that's great. If they go to Impact and they come in and start talking that junk and make a play for those titles, that works too, man. It's cool. All that stuff is cool, man.
Heck yeah. I'd say anybody that has any reserves about what Billy Kay can do is, man, just watch the Royal Rumble from this past year and you'll laugh your ass off.
Billy Kay is a shockingly excellent performer. I'm with you, man. She's real good. So, and the two of them together, like you said, it's exactly the points you were making of like, well, okay, you release Billy, I get it. And it's like, you release Peyton too. You're letting both of them go somewhere else. You're letting the tandem go. So why would you do that?
Yeah.
I understand if you're too dumb to use them, but no one else is going to be that dumb.
Yeah.
The only way to keep somebody else from using them is to keep one of them. You stupid, stupid people.
Yeah. But there is some cool stuff that's going on that I happened to watch tonight. Is talking about A&E and the Peacock Universal banner. Everybody loved the A&E biographies, and it's kind of like the VH1 storytellers but they predate them when they can take anybody and make it an interesting show, and they're doing I think it's 6 episodes of WWE guys, and they kicked off tonight with Stone Cold.
Stone Cold, A&E.
You know, and it's one of those that I had to sit down and watch it, and even though there's a lot of these stories that you feel like you've heard many times, it's still when the biography guys put their spin on it, it's like, oh man, this is so freaking good.
That's awesome, man.
I loved it. I had a good time watching it.
Hell yeah, man.
Dug the crap out of it, and not only with the stuff that WWE's done, with Steve on his podcast, you feel like, okay, what else is there left to tell? And the AEW biography guys are going to find somebody else's perspective or another side of the story where you're like, oh man, this is new again.
Yeah. We were talking about it earlier off camera, man, that about the only person we can think of that they couldn't really find anything else out about is Russo. It's just like the behind the music, or excuse me, a biography of Russo would just be A&E's producers being like, hey, he's a son of a bitch. He's as awful as you think he is. And then it just goes off. That's the whole show. But yeah, I think that I'm really glad that they're doing that. And I'm glad they did Austin because he's not fucking racist. And people don't hate him. Pre-racist, you know, fans didn't hate Hogan, but his contemporaries did because he was a fucking prick and cost them money. But Austin, we talked about it earlier, man, and I'll stand by it. Professional wrestling is not exactly the most touchy feely, bros for life, bro business. I mean, how many people say like, yeah, if you leave this business with a handful of people you actually think are your friend, you've had a hell of a career.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat and it's shitty and it's competitive, and Shawn Michaels was the way he was for a reason. And I say was past tense because apparently, man, I'm sorry, I'm drinking that too fast. Apparently, Shawn really is just a great dude now, man, and that's cool.
Cool.
But anyway, it's that Austin is the stratosphere scaling star that he is, one of the two biggest of all time. And everybody's so happy for him. I'm like, man, that just says, I think that's the coolest thing in the world that people are so genuinely happy for that guy because it just seems to me to say everything you know about him as locker room Steve, worker, one of the boys, the guy. I'm like, that's such a cool thing, man. Because dude, people snipe each other in wrestling all the damn time. So how cool that one of the biggest stars ever is like, oh yeah, that guy, he's solid. That's cool. That's cool shit, man. I love it.
Yeah. They touch on pretty much every high water mark from the career that has been done, but they still do it in a fun, cool way. And it's just with it being A&E and it being the WWE guys given their full blessing to do it all. The people that they get to sit down and talk to is kind of like, oh my God, they talked with this person and that person. That they talked with Dwayne, they talked with Taker. I mean, everybody sits down and talks. But one of the common stories that everybody has with dealing with Steve, and they were like, Steve was just kind of kept to himself, very private person, never talked about his family. And they get to the part where Steve is talking about his daughters, and I don't know if he's ever been that revealing as he is in this documentary. And it is one of those kind of things where it's just like, oh my God. And he doesn't pull any punches, doesn't hold anything back. He's like, man, I wasn't there. And he's just telling this story about has two daughters, was on the road, can't go off the road or you'll be replaced. And something goes down where I didn't know this, but his wife goes home to London or somewhere in England to visit her family. And they don't come back. They stay over there. And just the way he tells that story, you can just feel he's like, damn, I fucked up. And he tells the story, and I, you not spoil. I spoil it with that, but it's still powerful when you hear it from him. When he gets on the phone and he talks to his daughter, and she has a full-on British accent, and he's just like, no matter how much we didn't have a relationship, didn't know each other, he said she always sounded like me, and then she didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, man, who in the heck can't feel that? He's like, and the good part of the story is a lot of those fences have been mended and are still getting done, but just hearing, I've never heard him tell that.
Yeah, man.
And it's one of those kind of things. It's like, man, the one thing that we always had in common was she sounded like me. She didn't.
Yeah, now she
like,
don't.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. And the footage that they have of them has to be super old because they're still really young. And I know his daughters have got to be, if they're not 20, got to be mid-20s by now. So anyway, I was waiting for them to pop up and sit down and be part of the interviews, and that doesn't happen. But I can understand why it's like, nah, just talk to me, guys.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough enough on me. I don't want to have to watch them. But him telling that story was like, I don't know if he's ever got into it like that.
Yeah, seriously, man. I don't. As much fun as the podcast is, and it is fun, man. I love his show, but it's shop talk. They don't really do family talk very often. So you're right. It's like, oh, that's fascinating, man. Okay, that's cool, dude. It's not cool, but it's.
Man, that's what those guys do, man. They always find that we're gonna find a part of the story that is new, and or at least a different perspective on it. We're gonna be like, I never saw it that way.
It's the Roy Firestone interview, like from Jerry Maguire, where they play that joke. Speaking of Jerry Maguire, this is a really ridiculous transition. But I actually watched a movie lately that for some reason I've managed to never see until now. And it's Empire Records. I'd never seen that movie, despite tons and tons and tons and tons of suggestions, especially when I was working at the video store, to watch that movie. And it's fascinating because I'm watching. It was cool. It was actually very, very cool. I really enjoyed it, and it was just the thing that I liked about it was watching it.
Rex Manning Day.
It's Rex Manning Day. All of this, what I'm going to refer to April 15th as from now till forever, man. It's Rex Manning Day. Who got fired? But Liv Tyler is somebody that I felt this way for a long time, and I'll stand by it. I think that Liv, and I get it, because if you see Liv Tyler, you can pretty much stop the assessment. As soon as you see her, it's like, well, yeah, okay. But she's actually really quite good at her job, at her profession. And my big thing was Lord of the Rings, because obviously, again, going down to just what she looks like, she is perfect casting for playing an elf in Lord of the Rings. But she did an awesome job in that. Yeah. And then Empire Records, man, there's not a whole lot there. She was quite good. That thing you do, we talked about it, man. That was my other thing. Is like it's fascinating. Like her and Ethan Embry are in both those movies, and I'm like, well, go on, guys, good for y'all. But we watched Empire Records, and it was just real cool. I was very impressed with it. I don't know how to really explain it. I guess it was just that all the stuff that was supposed to hit, all the things that you want to feel and laugh at and enjoy, man, it did it for me, man. It was quite good. It's been a good. This is a weird transition again, but the whole point mentioning Roy Firestone, Jerry Maguire, and Empire Records is I had no idea Renee Zellweger had ever done anything before Jerry Maguire. I thought that she had performance centered her way into Jerry Maguire, and that was the first thing she was ever in. So to go back and see her in Empire Records, I'm like, holy crap, that is who that is. So very stupid and has nothing to do anything with Stone Cold, but that's what it reminded me of. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen Renee Zellweger's early work recently, and she was good. She did a good job, man. So,
oh man, my deal with Empire Records is I don't think that was the first time I saw Robin Tunney.
Oh man!
But it was I'd seen her in something else, and it made me want to go back and watch that. And when you go back and watch her stuff and get caught up, it's like, oh man, speaking of people that are damn good at what they do,
Robin Tunney is somebody. I have this. I don't want to use the word fetish because that's too strong, but I absolutely love short hair on myself, on other people. I love it. Shaved head's my favorite look in the whole wide world. And the fact that wasn't in the script, don't get me wrong, they shot it, but that wasn't in the script. Apparently that was her idea. And the director's all like, oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I love girls with shaved heads. I'm a Sinead O'Connor lifer. So it was so good to see her. And that is the best character in that movie. There's a cool article actually online. It's like why Deborah's the best character in Empire. Because again, I enjoyed the movie, so I've been doing Google searches and finding things to read about and getting people's opinions. She's great. Robin Tunney is so great in that movie, and it's quite cool too, man. Because another one from that same era. Is,
I think if I had to pick a character that made that movie rewatchable, I think that's probably one of the ones I would pick. I'd like to go back and check in with her.
Yeah, she's cool. She was the coolest. I'm with you. But my thing with Robin Tunney, what I always think of, she did a movie with Henry Thomas from E.T. called Niagara, which it's a tricky movie because you can tell it's definitely a writer-director thing, and it's fine. It's worth watching. She's great in it. She does a really good job in it. The movie's not great, but she was. She was real good in that. But the other one that I always think of is Encino Man, because she's the main girl. I can't believe I forgot her dadgum name, her like real life name. Darn. But it's funny because there's the lead girl. God, if her name comes back, I'll say it. I'm sorry. But the one that Sean Astin's into, Robin Tunney plays her best friend, the one that has kind of the hots for Link. But what's funny, or what I think is interesting, is that Robin Tunney is playing the best friend of a character whose name is Robin Sweeney, and I'm like, God, that had to get so confusing.
So, Robin Sweeney was played by Megan Ward.
Megan Ward. I knew it was something that I should remember, and man, it was just gone. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was in that, and she was in PCU, which is a pretty crappy movie, but
it was fun at the time.
George Clinton's in it, and that's cool. And it was all right. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gotten way sidetracked. I'm sorry about that, but
no, man, my top of the list movie, if you haven't seen, gotta check it out, about Robin Tunney, is a movie from back in the day. It's called Cherish.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those. I'm trying to remember when it came out, but I want to say it like was popular on Stars, and that's 2002 is when it came out, and it was one of those that I remember catching it and liking it enough to back when people bought DVDs. Like, man, I gotta track this down, because it's a funky story where it's one of those you could try to sit down and explain it to people, and you're kind of like, why am I watching this? But like, just watch it, because she's I don't remember what her character's profession is, but she ends up in house arrest, essentially, through a course of events. She ends up in house arrest, which ends up having her being stalked, and these people are coming after her, and it's the investigator who is checking in on her under house arrest is Tim Blake Nelson, which is never a bad idea.
This is going to make for I'm
good
sorry.
Movie.
Oh yes, no. This is going to make for one hell of a transition in a couple of minutes.
So it's and it kind of it's not necessarily Empire Records level of, man, it's full of all these movie references, but the soundtrack and part of what they bond over with this investigator that has taken her on house arrest is music.
Yeah.
But it's called Cherish, so go watch that.
I gotta check that. I've never seen that.
Oh man, now I can pretty confidently say you'll dig it.
Yeah, that's you're off to a great start with Robin Tunney and Tim Blake Nelson, man. That's cool. I gotta check that out. Pardon me. The transition for Tim Blake Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Before I make the transition for Tim Blake Nelson, let me ask you: did I just totally shit on Steve Austin and A&E? Were you done with that?
No, I mean that's it.
Cool, because I didn't mean to get off. Because I'm with you. I think it's like you're talking about, man. People that wrestle for a living are so interesting anyway. And the people that do biography are really good at what they do. So, man, you put those two things together, I'm like, oh, yes, this is brilliant. So I like it.
One of the really good things about it that I can say is it wasn't overly Vince heavy.
Good. That's cool, because that's what I thought. That HBO's Andre documentary pissed me off, because when they got to Terry and Vince, that's all they talked about. And I'm like, can we please get back to who this is about?
And that's another cool thing that A&E has been doing, is they've been rerunning that leading up to the stuff tonight. and I did sit down and rewatch that, and a rewatch, it is a lot better.
It's the bookends and the stuff about his early career are awesome. Like where it begins and where it ends are fascinatingly
That
excellent.
that WrestleMania 3 chunk, it does kind of feel like, y'all, this is going to be about Andre again
Eventually,
sometime, isn't
right?
it?
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
we get there. You're right. Once you get to North Carolina and back to France, it's like sweet.
yeah. But man, early Andre stuff, the Princess Bride stuff is the
Yeah.
and when I went back and rewatched it, I was like, I remember why I really dug this.
The Princess Bride stuff is really sweet. And one of my favorite things about the Princess Bride stuff is when you try, and for me anyway, when I try and quantify who these people are and how the second you tell them, yeah, we're doing a documentary about Andre, they're like, I'm in. I just think
Mm-hmm.
that's so cool. I love it,
Mm-hmm.
and it just makes me happy because
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about it before. More Robins, more actresses named Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Wright, on the talent scale,
Mm-hmm.
not one to be trifled with.
Oh
She is
yes.
awesome. So it is so cool for her to come back and be like, oh, yeah, I'll tell you some
Mm-hmm.
stories about Andre. I love it. It's just so cool, man. And really, it's not just her, it's anybody in that movie. We've talked about it before, man. Um,
She,
Wallace Shawn is from a
yeah.
different planet as far as ability. And so anyway, I got sidetracked, but that's a good point, man. I need a copy of that because I really would
Rob,
like to see it again.
Robin Wright tells this awesome story in that documentary about, everybody has their stories of Andre and just how you can't understand how big he was until you're there. And
Yes.
she's telling the story of the night when I guess I guess they were on the boat. I don't know if she says what scene they were shooting, but it would have to be when they were on the boat and it was just like freezing cold,
Yeah.
and they're out in the woods, and he's like, this hand just comes up, just like, and he's like, I'll warm you, and just covers her whole head, and he's like,
Yeah.
and I was warm.
And it worked. Yeah, I
Mhm,
love that story
mhm,
so much, man. Just this gigantic hand
mhm,
just like plops down and it's like a toboggan and
mhm.
works instantly. I'm like, God, that's so cool. That is such a cool
Yeah.
story, man. And we've talked about it before, man. But it's one of my favorite things where it's the end of the movie where she jumps off the balcony and he catches her and all that stuff. And this is like later in life, Andre, where he's still huge. But, it's like you're talking when you watch the documentary and see the footage of him like in 76, 77, it is staggering how big this guy was. So, unfortunately, his back has suffered, his knees have suffered. But still, man, the scene where he catches her, man, she looks like a little kid. It's so
Mhm,
cool. And the thing I love about that scene is I could be totally wrong, and it is totally appropriate for the scene, but their faces don't look like they're acting. That it
mhm,
just looks like they're having fun, and it's such a cool. I love that scene. It's one of my favorite things because Andre's why I watched that movie when I was a kid. Mean Gene
mhm.
Okerlund told me Andre the Giant was in a movie, and I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
I'm
think you're
down.
sexy, Mean Gene. I'll watch this movie. But it was just like I just love that scene. Again, I could be totally wrong, but it just the other positive thing about the stories that you hear from the set because Carrie Ells was at Dragon Con one year, and I really don't
Mhm,
usually do panels or Q&As or stuff like that. My friends really wanted to go because they loved that movie, and I'm like, this is neat. So yeah, this will be fun. And he was such a sport and was awesome and answered everybody's questions. And I had a question I actually wanted to ask him, but I felt bad because it was such a Princess Bride and Men in Tights crowd, and they were having such a good time asking their questions. And he was, I don't know if he was having fun answering them, but boy, he seemed like he was having a good time. I wanted
yeah.
to ask him about Credible Rock because I love that movie, and
Mhm,
he played John Houseman in that movie. It's fantastic. But anyhow, um, I'm sure I've told this story on here before, but it's one of the neatest things. It's like this heartwarming thing because you're like, man, you just saw a guy grab hold of his moment, and it was neat because you got to see somebody live a fantasy. Somebody steps up to the mic and they ask him if he would sing the lyrics to the Men in Tights song, and he started to do it. And then he stumbled because he forgot the lyrics. And I know shit, there is a kid in the crowd that is the character he's come to Dragon Con dressed in. So he jumps up and proceeds to lead us all in a chorus of the Men in Tights. So it was awesome. It was such a cool thing. Because I'm like, man, that dude couldn't have dreamt that moment more perfectly that it actually just happened. And I saw it. And I'm very happy that I got to witness that. It was neat, man. Like, that kid just lived his dream. That was totally awesome.
It's my time.
That's it, man. I just kind of... It just rises, man. I don't think the kid stood up more than he floated. He just kind of like levitated over to the stage. But there was a point. You go first. I'm sorry.
Talking about Carrie, I would be that dude in the crowd being like, Mr. Russ Wheeler. Now, when you spun out Cold Trickle, you son of a bitch.
I was just going to say, man, I need to just make it real clear to just get this off my chest. I've been carrying this for a long time. You spun out Cold Trickle, you dirty son of a bitch. And I'm not letting you come here to my state and get away with it now. You know your reckon's right now, Rowdy. Man, shit. It's not Rowdy Burns. Rowdy was
Rowdy is freaking
the Rook, Michael Rooker.
Michael, yeah,
Michael Rooker, who was also in. It's not the easiest watch because Major League is so much fun, but something about late '80s, early '90s baseball movies. Michael Rooker played Happy Felch in 8 Men Out.
Yeah.
And he's such a prick. Oh my God, he's so good at playing that role. Man. That's a hell of a good movie though, man.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Between Cusack and D.B. Sweeney plays Joe, and Rooker is Happy Felch, and God, why can't I think of his name? And he plays Eddie Seacott, the pitcher, man. It's a great actor. I can't believe it. If it comes back to me, I'll mention it.
That guy that was in everything at that time.
Yeah, he was. Oh, I can't believe I've forgotten his name. He was in Dolores Claiborne. He was unbelievable, unrecognizable. David Strathern.
Yeah, that's him.
Strathern. Incredible job by that guy. Anyway, this is great, though. We're talking movies and just digging, I love this kind of stuff. But I promise there was a Tim Blake Nelson reference, and it was going to lead me to the other thing I needed to talk about as far as what I've watched lately. I might have mentioned it, but I don't know, but now I've finished it. So I can talk about that.
Oh, good. Good.
Let me tell you, this right here is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. I was a little bit nervous because true to form with HBO, especially if you're a Game of Thrones watcher, the next to last episode is the one. It's not the last one, it's the next to last one. Episode 8 was so good, but it is very, it's very focused in terms of scope. And there's a lot of characters in there, a lot of ends to tie up. But when you get to episode 8, it's basically 2 characters and that's it. And I'm like, I love this. This episode is amazing. I love it. But damn, I don't know if you left yourself enough time for that last episode. And it's a little bit, there's only one scene in it I thought was clunky, but it's not unbearable in any way. But it's cool. It's very, very cool, especially in this regard. Remember the original Watchmen, the book, where is Ozzy the good guy or the bad guy or a little bit of both? Or, because clearly he's the one that's hatched the villainous plot, but he wasn't wrong. And his whole plan was to try and get nuclear disarmament, if you will, between the superpowers. And as far as the storybook world, it worked. So, yeah, he's definitely the heel. But was he right? That's good stuff. That's why one of the things there's a couple of things about the movie that frustrate me. But the fact that he's all sinister from the very first scene bothered me. It's like, we're not supposed to know that Ozzy's the bad guy yet, guys. Anyway. That's me nitpicking. But that being the case and having nice classic 50-50 characters, when you get to the end of that, I might be reading too much into it, because boy, I'm a good overthinker. But I thought that the ability to recreate an ending where you are left 100% in limbo, they did such a good job. such a good job with where that show ends in this regard. If you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The whole last scene is tension. You're just waiting to see if this very particular thing happens. And the interesting thing for me is there's the one thing that I'm kind of like, oh man, is it gonna happen? Oh, I hope it happens. Actually, to be honest with you, when I'm watching it, I'm like, you guys have to cut. When this happens, you have to cut, and it's exactly what they did. They did exactly what I wanted them to. It was great. But this particular thing, if it doesn't happen, are you disappointed? Because I wouldn't be. But if it does happen, you have to think about the connotations, especially based on what Ozymandias had just said. I'm being like cryptic and weird because I don't want to ruin it, but I loved that show. It was really good. I'm looking forward to going back and watching it again. There's one thing in particular that I don't understand, so I need to watch it again. And I got to find out exactly why True, the Professor True, is in league with the Oklahoma White Power kids. I can't quite. I just missed like why is this idiot necessary? I just missed it, so I'm going to go back and watch it again. But I was so impressed. I was never going to watch that show either because it's Watchmen, but it ain't Alan Moore. Why do I care?
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy Aaron, my main man Aaron, mentioned to me in a conversation. We were just talking about music, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, we were talking about Ross and Ross, Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor. Jeez, I'm sorry, I'm trying to make Ross's first name." Sorry. And we were talking about how the scores that they do together are all really good. Social Network was unbelievable. Gone Girl I've never even seen, but I've listened to the soundtrack or the score about 900 times. And he was like, yeah, those guys did Watchmen. And it took me a hot minute to realize what he was talking about. And then it was like, oh, crap, now I got to watch that show. So I watched it, and it was the third episode that I'm like, yeah, you're in. Excuse me, you got to finish this now. Incredible. I really did not expect to like it at all, and I wound up really loving it. But Tim Blake Nelson is in that show, so I promise there is an actual transition there, and it's cool because as soon as he shows up, you don't really see him, but you can hear him, and then it's like, man, I hope that's who I think it is. It turns out it is. Like, sweet.
Rock and roll, man.
No, it's excellent crap. I loved it, man. It was too good. Excuse me. And I'm not sure what else there was to discuss, man. I'm sorry to say, I again didn't make a list because I'm stupid.
Oh man, that's all I've been doing, just watching wrestling documentaries, as I do.
as one does.
Yes.
My big wrestling thing lately, I've been, of course, doing Fire Pro. I got Danhausen on Fire Pro. Got my Danhausen T-shirt. I'm thrilled to say because I love this guy anyway, and it's interesting. I think we might have discussed it before. I never remember what we talk about and what we talked about on the show. So if this is a repeat performance, yeah, if it's a repeat performance, I apologize. Thank you for watching. But his entire smattering on pro wrestling tees is pretty cool. But this one in particular, it's called Landhausen, just did it for me. I'm like, I love that. So I ordered this guy, and I love it. It's awesome. But I got Danhausen on Fire Pro, and I'm happy about that. But my other big thing has been YouTube actually has, I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but I'm telling you guys this so you can reference it and find the exact date if you want to. I think it was called Battle of the Belts. It was an old match from Florida between Ric Flair and Barry Windham. And it's one of Meltzer's 5-star matches, which I've mentioned before. I'm not a huge Dave guy. And modern, like what gets like 5 and 6 and 7 and 12 and whatever stars now I don't care about because see now he's got buddies in the business and it's not necessarily objective. But the old shit, that's fun. He wasn't getting nothing out of it, so it's a little different. But for the old Jim Crockett Promotions era 5-star matches, there's Flair and Wyndham, and I've always thought the Ric Flair Barry Windham match that they put on that white box Ric Flair collection. Mm-hmm. I love that match. I think it's awesome. But no, Battle of the Belts, that's the one. That's the one you got to see. And I'm like, okay, so I go looking for it. And YouTube's got it. It's on there, and I'm like, sweet. So I've watched that a couple of times, man. It's excellent. So that's been it's stupid, but I've been hung up on this one wrestling thing because anymore when I watch the shows, I just fast forward and I'll watch who I want to. And I had to skip Dax this past week for a couple of reasons. One, I like the tag team, and two, why the fuck is Dax Harwood jobbing to Chris Jericho? I'm like, oh, I'm not watching this shit. Why do I care about this? I know you got to bring Shaq out and all that good stuff, but I'm like, I'll watch Dax lose to this guy. But as far as that is concerned, excuse me, I am hoping that we can eventually get to a place where I know the whole thing is people are so weird about, well, you know, the Revival haven't done anything since they've been in AEW, and they've been champs, but they lost the belts to Young Bucks. Yeah, they did, because Tony Khan is absolutely hell-bent that Young Bucks Revival has got to be in front of people. He is obsessed with it. And so, when I tell you that shit ain't done, it ain't done. We're going to get back to that one, which will be fun, because I thought the match they had was awesome. And I'm looking forward to it, and it's cool. But that was something funny from this past week. The Young Bucks, the Dior Young Bucks. I think that shit's hilarious for a couple of reasons. I think Matt Jackson is a much, much, much better heel than he is a babyface. Because Road Warrior Buck, which is very funny and very accurate, I hate that character. But he's quite good at being a little jackass heel. And Nick's the same.
Gordon just kind of paused for a second. I didn't hear all.
Oh, crap. I think we're okay, but if it cut off, I'll just tell you. But anyway, the idea of them signing a deal with Dior and like clothing stuff, and again, more of the same, where it's all like they're not doing super kicks and they're not doing the crazy 450s. It's exactly what Foley did when he was in ECW and did the sellout thing. It's like, man, I'm not going out here doing this hardcore crap, man. I'm just going to do headlocks, and it's funny. I think that's quite cool. So it's more of the same though with the Bucks and Kenny. It doesn't matter what the fuck they do. The people that bitch about it are going to bitch about it. Oh man, it's out there having these stupid matches. So then they go the complete opposite way to say, no, fuck you fans. We don't care about you. We're not doing the crap you like. Well, what's this crap they're doing now? They just fucking told you. They just explained to you what they are doing. Jesus Christ. But ultimately, like you and I've talked about, the issue with like people that take all their cues on those three guys specifically from Jim Cornette is he personally does not like them. Same thing with Kevin Owens. These guys did not bend the knee and kiss Jim Cornette on the ring, so he hates them. I can fucking prove it. Adam Cole, who is a very sweet kid and a really good guy and appreciates the code of honor, if you will, in the business. You respect the guys that have been there before you, and when they give you advice, you listen. Cornette loves Adam Cole. Now, you tell me from a match-building standpoint of kicking out of everybody's everything and going on and on and on and on, and then entering the final stanza, and then kicking out of 4 more things and then ending the match, who'd I just describe, Kenny Omega or Adam Cole? The answer is fucking both of them. I like them. I think they do it better than most people, because that's what makes me nuts about Gargano. That's a Johnny Gargano match. I'm just not interested in Gargano enough to watch him kick out of everybody's everything. Adam Cole, I am. But that's my point, is Adam Cole and Kenny Omega have a very similar architect's eye as far as what they put together for a match. Cornette hates Omega, loves Adam Cole, and it's because Adam Cole was very respectful and very, oh yeah, Jim, cool, I'll take that under consideration. And Kenny was like, fuck you, I'm not listening to you. That's my problem. There's no objectivity. It literally comes down to, well, were they nice to me in person? Okay, well, great. They're cool then. Oh, they weren't? Well, fuck them. That's how come you can't listen to that. That's how come you can't
listen. I'm a fan of anybody that's a fan of me.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And that's my issue with that guy. Still a fun show to listen to when they talk about old shit. And I'm very, very happy that they like Danhausen so much. Because Danhausen, if you're going to pick one guy to be entertained by, that's a great choice. And I know people are, well, wait till you see him in the ring. And I thought Cornette handled that like a pro. I thought it was so, I'm not going to watch him in the ring because I'm liking this and I want to keep enjoying it. I don't want to see that shit. I'm like, good for you. You have found this thing you like. Don't let other people ruin it for you, especially with it being Danhausen, because God, just go to YouTube and go to his channel. It's just him opening packages and reviewing toys and talking about candy. I mean, if Danhausen talking is the thing that you enjoy, there is so much stuff for you to enjoy. There's no reason whatsoever for you to get into the stuff you don't want to see. And we've talked about it, man.
Why ruin a good thing?
Dude, seriously, it's the only fucking thing in modern wrestling they get any joy out of whatsoever. So, man, leave it where you can enjoy it. I got no problem with that at all, man. I think that's cool.
That's what I'm down with.
Hell
like
yeah.
What you like.
Oh, like what you like, don't be a dick. It's such a fantastic slogan. I love it. Now, I think it's Brian Zane's second best slogan, and the other one's not his. But if you're some karate is my favorite. But like what you like, don't be a dick is pure gold. I love it.
That's the way to do it, my brother.
Oh, dude, seriously, man. There's lots of good shit out there. Have fun.
Yeah, man. That's what's up, man.
I think we've got the hour. We've made it to the hour mark.
Yes.
It's a draw. It's Broadway.
Told you what to think about the world, so that's what you need to do.
Yeah, seriously.
Y'all be cool, man.
Y'all, thank you for watching. We will see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Heck yeah, man.